guys, so this is a short video about mealworms because a few of you asked, and I'm making this for my friends on Omaha Chicken Talk because you guys were great and let me be part of your group even though I live south of Lincoln instead of in Omaha. So I ordered my mealworms from Jim's Mealworm Farm, Jim's Worm Farm I think, but there's lots of places you can order them. You order as many as you can afford at a time, several thousand. And when they come, they are approximately this size. And I keep them in a bed of chicken crumbles, and then the broccoli is what they use for water, and I give them broccoli a couple times a week. I cut it up in small pieces so there's lots of raw surfaces for them to latch onto. And then I keep them in egg cartons, and the reason I do this is because when I want to feed them to my chickens, it's easy just to pick up the bottom of an egg carton like this and tap it into a dish, and you've got all your worms right there. You don't have to go digging for them. And they like to have the extra layer to kind of sneak between for the most part, besides some of these guys. So after a few weeks, they grow to full maturity, and then they morph into these little guys. And it depends on the temperature. They'll stay like this for a couple weeks to a month, and the warmer it is, the faster all of this happens. And when I see them on top of the worms, I just scoop them up because they usually work their way to the top. I scoop them up and keep them in a separate dish, and then they hatch out into these guys, which are called darkling beetles. And they aren't dark when they start, but they will turn black within about 24 hours or so. And I keep them in a separate dish. And the reason I do that is just for my own convenience. There's a lot of people that keep mealworm farms all in one container, but to me it's easier to get the mealworms out when you don't have to dig through the darkling beetles to do that. So the darkling beetles, let's see if I can find, I just fed these guys today, so they're kind of stirred up, but there. Sometimes I'll have hundreds of them in here. They're kind of in a spot in the life cycle right now. There's not quite as many, but each female darkling beetle will lay 250 to 500 eggs before they die. When I find a dead one, I feed them back to the chickens, and they love the dead beetles just as much as the live mealworms. So eventually, the soil or the chicken feed in here, when you hold it up like this, you can see it start to move, and there's little tiny baby, almost microscopic sized mealworms in there. And when it gets to that point, I know that it's time to grab the darkling beetles and start another drawer, and that will let these grow. The worms just grow for a few weeks until they're big enough to feed to the chickens. So this next drawer down is a drawer that I had darkling beetles in, and I pulled them out. And now the worms are growing, and they're almost to the same size as the top drawer that I'm feeding out of. But there's a ton of eensy-teensy ones in here, and you can tell that the chicken crumbles are real fine, and that's actually just worm poop. And once it gets to the point where there's no crumbles left, then I have a chicken colander that I save for, kitchen colander, got chickens on the brain, that I save just for using for mealworms. And I just put the a chunk of this in the colander and sift it, and all the worm poop and stuff falls out, and all I'm left with is worms, and then I put them in a fresh bed of chicken crumble and broccoli. So that's pretty much all there is to it. It's not hard. It does take a little maintenance. They do need broccoli a couple times a week, or any vegetable. Some people like potatoes, but I think potatoes are smellier. And as the worms grow, they will shed skins, and that gets kind of messy. I can skim those off the top, and again, I've just done it recently, so I don't really have any to show you. And you just shed them off the top. They blow easily, so you probably want to do that outside or where there's no fan running, because they'll blow everywhere all over your house and make a hot mess. But anyway, there you go. Hope that's helpful. Thanks again for letting me be a part of your community. I really appreciate it.